Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson, blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 340. I got to get my buttons under control here. So today we're doing chapter 2 of Little House in the Big Woods. Hey, Jim, what's up?
Chin is up.
Oh, man. So I brought Chin down a little pregame baseball. We're talking
She asked me how my schedule's going.
Yeah, exactly.
My schedule's going crazy. Yep.
So, yeah, I almost had to cancel tonight's show because I was like, there is just not enough time in the day right now.
You're going to hurt my feelings.
I know. I was close.
Sorry, listeners, but holy smokes.
Yeah.
Our lives busy right now.
We're dancing. We are dancing, that's for sure.
Yes.
So, what am I doing? I am cleaning out chicken coops, and I got my gardens in. And this year, it's serious. It's serious business. We have got to can this year. We haven't had to buy tomato products in probably the 20 years that my husband and I have been married. I'm so sick of buying tomato products. So I'm just praying. I've got tomatoes in different stages. I didn't even bother doing my own seedlings this year. I just went to the store and bought the seedlings, bought the seeds. Yeah. That way I'll have them in different stages. Yeah, and like I say, this is the earliest I've ever planted before. People up north are probably going, are you loco? But honestly, that's what Texas looks like. There's 2 seasons. The first one comes real early, and then the next one comes pretty late because during the heat of the summer, it just torches everything.
2 seasons, hot and ice storms.
Yeah. Well, so I'm hoping no more ice storms. That would be devastational. Like we're hoping beyond all odds that we're past that. Yeah. But I would get out there and lay with my little tomato plants at this point. Like they've got to grow. So like I was telling you before the show, this year it's so important to have those foods that you can really rely on being able to stock them. So that's exactly where I focused. I went with just beets. We can a lot of them. I love the tops, carrots, onions, my cucumbers from my pickles, because that's great stuff. They go a long way, the cucumbers do, in the picklings. Plus, if you do your own onions, then you have your own onions to do in your pickles, because I do bread and butter pickles.
Yeah, those are the best.
Mm-hmm. And then do that with the vinegar, and they're going to store up for a long time. So, I'm focused on getting in those staples, getting them in fast. And then, like I told you before the show, I think I should just start buying jars little by little right now because I'm planning for that harvest this year. It's just got to be there. So why am I so dead set on it? Guys, the food prices, last week's show was just a little eye-opener as to what's coming. The food prices are going to go through the roof. That's what people are predicting. Another wheat crop just got knocked out this past week. We're going to go through that in the Changing Earth news. With the war and everything that's going on, and all the resources were low anyway, it's time to stock that wheat. That's going to be a major focus of mine just because I've been doing like when I can afford long-term food, I do like the multi-packs and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'm built to the point now where I can start like selecting those items that are of severe importance, and just go in there. So that's kind of my game plan. And coffee. Brock's like, gotta have his coffee, man.
Yeah, right.
You cannot survive the apocalypse with Brock and no coffee. It's just not going to happen. So
somebody's not walking out of the room.
Yeah, somebody's not going to live very long. Exactly. So that's why I'm really urging everyone, we have to be really, really proactive this year on food supply to help with our communities, to help ourselves, we got to start thinking about it. So I'm going to be pumping that topic a lot, and we're going to talk about it today.
All right. What's the title today?
Today's title That was a horrible title you came up with.
I like my title, but I got the editor.
Yeah,
And
editor.
she stepped in and swiped me off the boards.
It's on the floor of my office right now. No, we're doing butter, bread, and yeast. So it was a fun thought journey today. So we started out with Little House in the Big Woods, chapter 2. And in chapter 2, it's basically winter setting in and what they do during the winter, how they pass their days. Dad, he's headed out to the woods. He's trapping. He's hunting. He gets a bear. He gets a pig, which is always welcome.
That was a fun story.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
And
he
then,
comes running back home from the woods.
Right?
He's like got both of them.
And then does like the scare the kids to death game.
Yeah.
And Mom's like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea.
That's so typical, right?
I'd be down there wrestling with them. So Mom, on Monday, she's washing. Tuesday, she's ironing. Wednesday, mending. Can you imagine those old irons? Like, I don't even use an iron now.
Literally, they're iron.
If I have to iron something, I just don't even want it in my closet. It's like... Yeah.
My mom had a couple of those. She used them for doorstops.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the old ones.
The antique iron.
Gosh.
Yeah.
You had to put them on the fire and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was insane. Wednesday was the mending. Ugh. I don't know if you've ever worn mended socks, but let me tell you.
Depends on where the hole was.
Oh, right on the toes, and your toes is it's
you
the worst.
Blisters.
Yeah. Thursday was the churning. Friday, cleaning. Saturday, baking. And then Sunday, resting. So,
Yay, Saturday.
Right? Yeah. That's still a good weekend. I'll take that weekend.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So we decided to kind of hone in on the churning because I've always been really interested in the staples that we use, how we would make the staples. I'm going to be doing my vinegar project. As soon as I get a moment, the gardens had to go first. So,
yeah.
But I will be doing the vinegar project and keeping y'all updated how that goes. So actually, if making butter sounds super intimidating to you, the most intimidating part is you're going to need heavy cream. And in a survival situation, I mean, unless you're like out milking a cow, forget about it. And I've thought about getting a milking cow before, but it's like responsibility. You have to do that like twice a day or you're done. Like,
we were making ice cream for a while during the shutdown, and it was getting hard to find the heavy cream.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's got to come fresher and things like that.
Yeah,
so you do need the heavy cream. So if you don't think that you'll ever be making post-apocalyptic butter, know who your local dairy suppliers are, first of all. And second of all, they make butter powder in a long-term food supply.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yep.
You can get it like in number 10 cans.
Exactly. Big.
Actually,
and
someone on this podcast might have one of those or two.
Yeah. And then Granny Pam's book,
yep.
Shows you how to use all that stuff. And her cookies are the bomb. So Granny Pam book, get that one for your dehydrated foods. So what I found out is you don't need, I thought there was a really valid point to having the big old churner thing that we all see from the past.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
With the stick?
Yes. Right.
Yep.
I thought that was there was a valid reason that you had to use this special thing to make it. And actually you don't at all. All you need is 2/3 of a cup of cold, heavy whipping cream and 1 canning jar with a lid. And you just shake it until it forms butter. It's so easy.
It's like, have you ever seen those little balls to make ice cream?
Yeah, exactly.
They roll them around. The kids roll them around.
Yep.
After a certain amount of time, it's ice cream.
Yeah. My husband was like, it's the original shake weight. Because you're shaking your jar.
No late night commercials, please.
So alternatively, you can put it in the blender, turn the blender on. If you have power, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you're keeping it cold without power unless you have a...
well, you could do one of those hand blenders. The crank thing.
Oh, there you go. The hand blender.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So once you're just whipping this, eventually your heavy cream we're not talking about Swenson here. We're talking about the butter. And
this episode's Spencer. Sponsored by Spencer.
Sponsored by Swenson's Bounty Service. So once
Get
you get
cracking.
you're just squirreling me off. So once you get the solid separated from the liquid, that's actually buttermilk. You don't need like anything else. That is your buttermilk. And you can take a cheesecloth, and strain it through there, just a really fine strainer. And there you got your butter. You wrap it up in cellophane to give it a mold, or you can stuff it in a mold like Laura or like Carol does in Little House in the Big Woods.
The fancy little pictures on our
butter
patties.
Exactly. You have the little strawberry with the little leaves. Exactly. Soap molds, for making soap, they work just as good too. You can use those for making butter. Dual purpose. 2 is 1, 1 is none. We always love it. So I was curious, like, why do we have salted butter then and unsalted butter? Us.
Salted butter tastes better.
Oh, yeah. Us in the refrigeration age, salted butter tastes better. They used to salt the butter as a preservative to keep it better longer.
That's something we need to stock up on.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking salt.
Exactly. So that's why I was saying, like, salt.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, like, stock whipping cream. So you're kind of, stuck with it is what it is there.
Mm-hmm. You need a goat or a cow.
Yeah, goat. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep. The little goats are easier to keep, and then you can just do goat milk instead. Yep. Yeah, because cows are for me, they're just too big. They're just too much. I couldn't have it here. That's not realistic.
And goats are funny. You don't need a TV when you got a bunch of goats running around.
It's true. So you can, Carol, I guess the milk was whiter in the wintertime.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
So she took carrots and then scrubbed them down to a carrot juice, then squeezed that out so you get all the carrot juice, and then put that in her butter to make it more yellow. So, you don't need the yellow food coloring. You can use natural things. And, of course, you can add herbs and garlic and all kinds of yummy. Put that.
That's like when you go to a nice restaurant and they have all the fancy butters and honey and stuff in the butter. That's like good stuff.
That's what I'm talking about. We're going to be like post-apocalyptic gourmet stuff happening here. Yeah. You can put like some wild sage in there. You can go to town, a little bit of wild onion. You're set, man. Now we're eating. All right. So a fun fact that I found out along the way. I told you I'm taking you on this thought journey with me today. This is really where I adventured. So a fun fact for today. Margarine actually came about in World War II because of dairy shortages. So nowadays it's just made with vegetable oil and yellow food coloring. So yum, yum, yum. Eat up your margarine. Yuck. Bread. So when it comes to bread, the one of the key ingredients to make it bread is yeast, right? So can you make bread without yeast? Yes, of course you can. There's all kinds of quick breads like zucchini bread and banana bread is all a yeastless bread. They're a little bit more cakey sometimes, so your quick breads.
Banana bread's awesome. Zucchini bread I got overdosed on as a child, so
yeah, because you have so much zucchini that normally.
Oh, I know. Mom was looking for any place to put that stuff.
Yeah, I do zoodles.
Oh, yes.
And you can't can zucchini. I mean, if anybody's figured it out, you let me know. But
that stuff just grows. Oh, or at least it did for us.
It was disgusting, dude. Yeah. Ours was just so soggy. We tried eggplant too that year.
Yeah.
Nope. Not even worth your time. It was disgusting. That's why I say this year I didn't even get any eggplant, and I love fresh eggplant Parmesan.
Yeah.
But I can't store it. This year is all about hardcore prepping. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you have flour, sugar, baking powder, so these are some of the essentials we want to start thinking about stocking, right? Mm-hmm. Because if it comes down to it, these are the staples, the basics we need. So the flour, the sugar's on our list of things that they rationed. Baking powder, salt, eggs. So I got my chickens, so I'm lucky there. Yeah, got my chickens. Milk, and then oil, some kind of a vegetable oil to use, for cooking. And it stores for a long time as long as it's not opened. Mm-hmm. So, and then I was like, okay, well, that recipe has milk in it. Like, if you don't have a cow, where are you going to get milk from? Right? Well, I guess if you have a goat, you're good to go.
Yep.
But where are you going to get that milk from? So you can make bread without milk as well. But like all the recipes I found had the dry yeast, quick dry yeast, active dry yeast, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, can you make bread without yeast and milk?
You're like taking one thing away every time.
Right?
Every lap.
Hey, man, I mean, if we're talking shortages, I'm scared to go to the store right now, as it is.
It's like musical chairs.
You know? Yeah.
Take a chair away.
So the cheaper I can make my grocery bill, yeah, we might have to make some stuff ourselves at this point. But
and it's so much better.
It is.
It really tastes better. I mean, it's kind of making it and clean up.
That's why I was like, okay, so
it tastes so much better.
We're having this shortage, that shortage. Okay, how can we deal with that? How can we get around that? So we might have to go, like I say, back to basics a little bit more. So spruceeats.com, they had a cool article on, yes, you can make bread without milk and without yeast. Some native breads, but they even have like French bread recipes and things like that. Yeah. So it's pretty good stuff. So yeast, yes, you can stock it. I mean, you can stock it up. So that's good. But when I was doing a survival class, we used to be a part of this program where we do camping trips and stuff like that as part of this survival group. And while I was out there, the instructor took juniper berries and we put them in a bag. And then to rapidly to quickly get that yeast going, we put it inside of a car so like the light could hit it through the window, and like really heat that up, start intensifying it. Boom, your yeast starts growing, your bag starts blowing up.
Juniper berries, is that like off of some kind of evergreen tree?
It's a pine tree, yeah.
Pine tree, yeah.
And so, but grapes, they have that powder on the outside. Blueberries have like a white powder, it seems like almost on the outside. That's the yeast, right? And also aspen bark has it. So you can take that small amount and then yeast works in combination with this bacteria that the yeast eats the carbohydrates and this bacteria actually protects it from molding and things like that. So you just take your berries and mix it with flour. Whole grain works the best. So your flour that you're stocking, I know a lot of people who stock like whole berries and then have grinders, things like that. I would definitely recommend having a non-power grinder because, I mean, that kind of defeats,
and kids.
Right? Yeah, and kids, exactly. So the whole grain works the best because it's more enzymes, but you can do this with either flour. You combine the flour, water, and your berries and put that in a glass bowl, cover it with a towel or cheesecloth, and put it in a non-drafty room. And then each day you mix in a half a cup of flour and a fourth cup of water. And that's so it has food. It can actually eat while it's growing. And then in 3 to 5 days, you're going to either have slime because it didn't work, which happens, I mean, it happens. Or you're going to have like this spongy, bubbling, fermenting smelling product, right? And that is your starter. So now you can use that in place of any standard yeast in a recipe. So if you have a bread recipe, you can actually use that clump of
Do you pull
starter.
The berries out?
Yes, you do take the berries out. So
could you cook the berries in the bread and have like I don't know.
You could cook the berries in the bread, but this is to get your starter loaf, right?
Yeah.
So you want to just pull that away from the berries, get them out of there, and you can.
That's like that friendship bread and stuff.
Exactly.
That they always used to make and pass around, and
you can store it in the fridge. Yeah. You have to actually feed it. You have to feed it every 2 weeks to a month. You're going to feed it some more flour and some more water. Keep it going. And then you can use that in place of any yeast in any recipe. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, you just take like a clump of that starter and put it in with your next bread. So that's really what you'd want to do. It's kind of the same as vinegar. Once you have your mother going, you want to keep that mother because it helps you make it faster. Yeah. Yep. I was like, okay, we can definitely do this.
Yeah, my parents used to have that bread. All their friends used to give each other a little bit of this stuff.
Right,
and
I got the sweet starter for the sourdoughs.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then she was talking about how the settlers used to like keep the starter in their like sleeping bag with them. She's like, but really any like non-drafty room will do. Yeah. I was like, whoa, yucky.
You're a little too cozy with
no
your
wonder
bird
it's
there.
sourdough.
Down by their feet.
Yeah. And actually, you don't even need berries and things like that. Sometimes the yeast actually can exist in the air.
Yeah.
So you can make it up and just put it out and it'll collect yeast from the air and it can start doing it on its own. But if you add something like that, you just increase the chances that your starter is going to actually go. Mm-hmm. It was pretty darn neat. So back to when I was on the survival trip, my curiosity goes to, okay, if you put the berries in a bag with your wheat mixture and all that, then you don't even have to put the berries inside because it would catch that yeast out of the air that the berries are producing inside the bag.
Did you prove that?
I haven't proven it yet, but it sounds like a pretty valid. I'm going to ask. We got some viewers over there. It sounds like legit to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll have to try that. It's just the berries make your car sound or make your car smell a little strange. I didn't volunteer my car for that. All right. So then my next thought, of course, goes to what if you don't have flour? What do you do? Well, luckily in the United States, acorns grow like crazy. In whatever state you're in, there's oak trees that have acorns.
Fight the deer for that, man.
Yes, you do.
Deer love those things.
Yeah, you really do have to fight the deer from them or for them. And like back in California, it was the woodpeckers and the squirrels. Really? Everybody's coming.
The squirrels
from
and the deer, yeah.
So I'm not saying it's not a challenge, but you got to do what you got to do at this point, right? So, acorn bread. I've harvested a lot of acorns in the past. I've done, acorn teas.
You've talked about,
yeah, granola bars and stuff like that. I mean, they're so abundant in California. But at trueprepper.com, they have a couple of tips that I wanted to bring because I was even surprised. So, you have to shell your acorns first. You can do that with pliers if they're really thick ones, or you can do it with a knife if they have a thin shell on them. And then you have to leach the acorns. And guys, this is really important because they have tannins in them. Too much tannins make you sick. So you can soak your acorns. You can do this over days, right? And just keep flushing them out. You can put them in a river. That way they get the continual water to leach. Small amounts, you can put them in the back of your toilet. And that flushes clean water past them every time you flush, literally. So, but at trueprepper.com, he had one that was to boil them until the color no longer leaches out. So I've never heard of that before. So I'm interested now to try that. It can take 30 minutes to 3 hours. And I was curious, he didn't say in the article about how do you tell when the color stops leaching out? Like, do you have to flush the water and put new water in there? Because then you're just kind of speeding up the soaking process. So I get that. Also, after boiling, he roasts them. And so roasting is a great way to get rid of the tannins altogether. So that's really cute. Jed.
Sorry, back channel conversation.
So, yeah, if you're over on live chat, then yeah. So the roasting's good. Roasting's always, a smart idea anyway. And then you can use the acorns in place of nuts, walnuts, pecans, things like that. But you can actually use the acorns as flour if you keep grinding, make it into a flour. He said 2 pounds of acorns equal 3 cups of flour. And yeah, it does legitimately. You need a lot of acorns. You can just blend them in the food processor. If you don't have a food processor, we're back to the grinder. So, Yeah, you can use acorn flour in place of any wheat flour, anything like that, and you're going to have good results as well. But I would suggest stocking the wheat now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, best to have some to kind of hedge out. Eventually, everything runs out, no matter, unless you're like super rich and you have like, the mega storage of long-term food supply somewhere. But even that, really, if you look at the sodium content that's in those long-term food supplies,
yeah,
you need fresh food with that. You really do. You need some kind of a fresh resource where you're getting food from, along with those products. I would not.
A layered plan.
Yeah.
Have the long-term storage for the hard time and get you so you can actually use fresh stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, and my gardens aren't huge, but I would say I had a garden maybe twice this size, and I supplied for 3 households.
Nice.
So yeah, like all the tomatoes for the winter and all the pickles and all the onions and all the, right? So, you can do it. You just have to do it. Honestly, that's what it takes.
Deep thoughts by Sarah.
Yeah.
You can do it.
I keep staring at my computer that just says "suck it up" on it, because like, man, I got so much going on. Do I have time for that? Yeah, you do. Make it happen. Yep. So go back to your basics. Stock the basics. Learn what it takes to make those products that you're eating so you can make them in the future, and you're going to unload your grocery bill a lot if you start taking the time.
And it just tastes good. Oh my goodness. I'll say it again. It tastes so much better.
It does. I need a pasta press, like one of those roll through pasta presses.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to eat pasta even. Pasta. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get out of here and hopefully get some cucumbers planted tonight before I got to make some dinner. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the show. If you have any comments on easy ways to harvest yeast or bread making, go ahead and share them in the comments. Come on over and check it out on my website. And, of course, I'm on all kinds of social media sites, so you can find me. I'm actually pretty active on MeWe. If any of you guys have ever checked out MeWe, I like it, and I got the Changing Earth group there. So it's a good alternative, in my opinion, to Facebook. But there we go. The little stint. And, of course, the website is changingearthseries.com. All right. Well, let's get out of here and get some more plants planted.
All right.
I'm out. All right, guys. Until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.